Hello friends, welcome to my channel Clinical Biochemistry by Dr. P.K. Prabhakar. This is second video on the cancer where we are going to talk about etiology of the cancer. In my first video, I have already talked about the basic of cancers and the characteristic feature of the cancers. And this is my second video where we are going to talk about etiology. In my next video, I will cover the molecular basis of cancers, then oncogenes or proto-oncogenes you can call it, and tumor suppressor genes. That will be my next video. And later on, we will cover tumor marker, cancer therapy, and cancer vaccines. From today, we will talk about etiology. If you have not subscribed my channel, please subscribe it. The cancers, which is, if you'll see the mortality and morbidity, this is the second most mortal disease. If you see the death which is going to happen after heart attack or heart disease, cardiovascular disorders, cancer is the second leading cause of death. Uh, Maximum death we are having in this case, in the case of cancers. When we are going to talk about the prevalence of cancers, it varies according to the genders. It varies according to the male, differently in the males and differently in the females. When we are going to talk about both the sex together, that time lung cancer and the breast cancers is have almost equal prevalences. So roughly 12.3% prevalence is for lung cancer and 12.3% prevalence is for breast cancer also. And the third most prevalent cancer when we are going to take both the genders together, that is colorectal cancers. When we are going to talk about only male, the five most prevalent cancers are lung cancer, which is the leading, which is on the top. Then second most prevalent cancer is the prostate cancer, roughly 14.5% prevalence rate. Then third is colorectal cancer. Fourth is GIT tract, or you can call it gastric cancers. And the fifth one is hepatic cancers, that is liver cancers. When we are going to talk about the female, the breast cancer is roughly having 1/4 of the contributions. The prevalence rate is roughly 1/4, that is around 25%. The colorectal cancer is 9.7%. Third leading cause in case of female is lung cancers. Cervical cancer, cervix cancer, that is 6.9%. Fourth one, and the fifth one is the thyroid cancer. So prevalence rate is going to vary according to genders. This variations is depending on number of factors. It varies according to it varies because of various factors. It varies according to lifestyles, habits, then you can call it smoking, then you can call it hormonal variations, biochemistry of the body. So number of factors are there which is going to responsible for this different prevalence rate in case of male as well as in the female. The basics of the this cancer is, in case of our body, we are going to have a mutation in the DNA, mutation in the cells. First we'll see the what is the basic role of DNA, and then we'll see what this mutation is going to cause it. So this is a basic DNA. So we are going to talk about central dogma, where we are having a DNA which normally decides our character by proteins. So DNA gives us proteins. So first DNA is going to be converted, DNA going to give me messenger RNA or RNA, which is having the message, which is having the informations, which gives me proteins. So DNA gives us RNA through the transcription process, and RNA gives us proteins, that is through translation process. So ultimate function of DNA is it gives me proteins, and all the character, all the properties, all the informations in the DNA that is going to work in the form of proteins. So ultimate functional unit of our body is proteins. So whenever we are having any kind of mutation, any kind of DNA damage, that is the basis of the cancer development. Means for any kind of cancer development, the DNA needs to be mutated. DNA needs to be damaged. That is the central features of the cancer. So this is a DNA which is going to be mutated. So the mutations, which is mutation means any sudden change in the DNA, either in the sequence or in the different one nucleotides or the many nucleotides. Ultimately, it is going to change the DNA sequences. So that is called mutations. These mutations may occur because of number of factors. Those factors can be endogenous, can be exogenous. Fine. So endogenous means normally it is because of our body, the product which our body synthesizes, which our body forms, that is, or because of certain endogenous factors. You can divide those factors into two basic broad areas. Either this, especially we are talking about the cancers, not exactly mutations. So whenever we are talking about the mutations, so mutation is caused by mutagens. So any mutagenic agent, any component which is going to change your DNA, change your DNA sequences, that is called as mutagens. So mutation causing agent is mutagens. Some of these mutagens which ultimately results into cancers. So all the mutagenic agents does not result into cancers. Only few mutagenic agents results into cancers. So those mutagenic agents which leads to cancers are called as carcinogens. Carcinogens means all the carcinogens are mutagenic agents. Means carcinogens compulsorily that will be mutagenic agent, means mutation is compulsory part of the DNA cancers, but all the mutagens are not carcinogenic agents. Only some of the mutagenic agents are carcinogenic agents. So now we are talking about carcinogenic agents. So basic features of the carcinogenic agents, they are going to leads to cancer. Cancer means uncontrolled growth of uncontrolled division of abnormal cells. So whenever we are talking about the cancers, all the carcinogenic agents can be divided into two broad classes. They are called as either environmental or genetic. When we are going to talk about environmental and genetic, maximum roughly around 90% of the cancers is going to cause because of the environmental factors. Means environmental factor means the factor which is not from our body, that is from the outside of the body, that is not going to be transferred from the previous generations. Means these factors can be avoidable. Means 90% cases where the carcinogenic agents, the cancer causing agents can be avoided by us. Only 10% cases, those are because of our genetic history which we get from the our previous generations, either from father, mother, grandfather, grandmother. I mean, that is from our inbuilt functions, inbuilt characteristic features. So in 90% cases, we can avoid those carcinogenic agents. These environmental carcinogenic agents can be again divided into three areas. Either it will be physical agents, or it will be chemical agents, or it may be biological agents. Whenever we are talking about physical agents, it may be any physical entity which will directly go and binds with DNA and distort it and going to change the DNA transcriptions. Means whatever DNA is going to give you proteins, the protein formations, or you can call it translation process, will be affected. So ultimately we are going to get a different type of proteins and not a normal protein. So we are going to get abnormal proteins. So obviously abnormal protein behaves abnormally, and that is going to cause cancer. So physical agents are normally a substance which go and binds with the DNA and affect the DNA protein translations process. Fine. Second one is chemical agents. We will talk about the in the details. Chemical agents are those chemical moieties, chemical entities. Either it will be aromatic compounds, it will be metal ions, it will be different other chemicals. So those are chemically going to affect the DNA base pairs. So ultimately, proteins is again going to be affected. So here, chemical reactions is going to happen. That is called as chemical agents. Third is biological agents. Here it may be any kind of microbes. Either it may be virus, that is the most common carcinogenic biological agents is virus. So we are having DNA virus, RNA virus, that we'll talk about. Then it may be bacteria also, it may be sometimes parasites also, it may be sometimes fungus also. So those are biological agents. Then we are having, whenever we are talking about the genetic components which is going to cause cancers, it may be hormonal, most of the cases, or because of some of the defective genes. So that is our environmental factors. Now if we'll see it, A survey has done in USA. According to that survey, 90% of all the cancer deaths are due to avoidable factors such as tobacco, pollutions, occupations, alcohol, and diet or lifestyle, you can call it. So these 90% cases, which is because of avoidable factors, means tobacco, it is not from our genetics, we can avoid it, we can stop it. Pollutions, occupations, alcohol, diet. So these things, if we avoid all the things, so these 90% occurrence of cancer can be avoided. Most of the cancers are caused by chemical carcinogens, radiations, energy, or some of the viruses. These agents, either they are going to damage our DNA, so DNA will be distorted, no proteins will be formed, not proteins will be formation will be affected, or it is going to interfere with the replication process or the DNA repair mechanism. This repair mechanism or replication process, we will talk detail in the molecular mechanism, how it is going to cause it. The cancers are primarily an environmental disease. Roughly, I have told you almost more than 90 to 95% cases it is attributed to an environmental factor which is not transferred from one generation to other generations, and only 5 to 10% cases it is due to genetic, which cannot be, which we are getting from the previous generations. It is nearly impossible to prove that what is the exact cause of the cancers in any individuals. Like if someone has got the lung cancer, you cannot exactly tell what is the reason behind the cancer occurrence. Either it is tobacco, it is alcohol, it is diet, it is pollution. So exact etiology you cannot find it. That is the very, it is almost impossible. Now, the risk factors, what are the different things, different factors, either it will be environmental or it will be genetic, which increases the occurrence of the cancer. The first thing is tobacco. Tobacco roughly contains roughly 7,000 different chemicals are there. We are going to show you the picture also. So tobacco is having leading the maximum occurrence risk factor, which is going to cause cancer. Then second, alcohol, radiations, some of the reproductive factors like hormones, you can call it, occupational factors like we are going to talk about some very few unhealthy diets, some of the microorganisms, obesity, and family history. If you see tobacco, tobacco roughly contains 7,000 different chemicals, different type of chemicals. So some of aromatic compounds, some of the different other type of compounds, roughly around 70 plus, means around 76, 20 different compounds are there, which is well known for the, which is already proven that it is carcinogenic. So tobacco is one of the leading cause having maximum cancer is caused because of tobacco or tobacco products. Alcohol also similarly it is going to affect the DNA and ultimately it is also going to cause cancer. Radiations. We are going to talk about the different type of radiations. We are having normally two types of basic radiations. Either it will be ionizing or it will be non-ionizing. So any radiations which will have more energy, they are going to damage our DNA more. So radiations with high energy going to affect more, radiations with the low energy going to affect less. So that is also a factors. Reproductive factors like some of the hormones which is normally going to increase the cell division process, like estrogens. In case of males, it will be testosterone. So these are also going to cause cancers. Occupational factors like some person who is working in some of the nail polish factory, enamel factory, paint factory, cement factory, some of the, you can call it like the traffic police, they are working, they are doing their jobs and standing throughout the day in the sunlight. So they are normally more exposed to the radiations, UV radiations, pollutants. So that is also unhealthy diets. Unhealthy diets normally increase the free radical formations, and whenever free radical formation will be there, it will cause different kind of cancer. It is going to affect our DNA. Microorganisms, we are going to see some of the microorganisms like some virus, DNA. Virus is going to cause either it will be DNA virus or RNA virus. Then obesity. Normally, whenever we are going to have obesity, it decreases cell sensitivity. So cells responsiveness to a message, to a signal is going to decrease. So whenever cell will be irresponsive and not going to respond to the normal signaling process, cell will be unobedient, and that will leads to cancer. And family history is we are going to get some kind of defective genes from our previous generations. So these are different risk factors which ultimately going to having increase the possibility of getting cancer. This is the percentage contribution from the different risk factors. Like you can see here, tobacco is having roughly 33%. This is slightly old data. Roughly, it is around 2014-15 data. So according to that one, tobacco roughly contains 33%. It is 33% possibility probability of tobacco is going to cause cancers. Then second leading cause of cancer, which is going to increase the risk factor is excess weight, that is obesity, or sedentary lifespan, that is 20%. Diet, like we are going to take some kind of food which contains some of the carcinogenic agents. So ultimately that carcinogenic agents will go, like pollutants you can call it, like pesticides you can call it, herbicides you can call it. Those things will go into our body and ultimately going to affect the DNA. Lack of exercise means sedentary lifespans, less physical activity, occupations. I have told you DNA virus, all the RNA virus, genetic, alcohols. So these are different factors which increases the risk of cancer occurrence. Now, if we see the molecular basis of cancers, so we are going to have a DNA. DNA will be mutated. Mutated means any kind of sudden change in the DNA sequence. So ultimately, proteins is going to be modified, so we will get different type of proteins. And because protein is going to be responsible for our character, so when DNA will be mutated, so we will get different type of proteins. So obviously different type of character, different properties will be there. We are having a normal DNA, so normal DNA will have normal functions, but whenever DNA will be mutated abnormal, so abnormal function will be there. These mutations can be either inherited or it will be acquired. We are going to like environmental factor normally going to that is acquired, which occurs after the birth, and inherited mutations normally we are going to get by birth. So either it will be inherited or acquired. We have already seen that environmental factors is going to three different branches, and genetic we are having either hormonal or defective genes. Either it will be environmental factor or it is genetic factors. Whatever factor will be there, they are going to mutate, they are going to affect four important genes of our body. So ultimately, cells will be irresponsive, or cell is going to divide abnormally. So what are those genes and how they are going to be affected? So first, the activation of a growth promoting oncogenes. In our body, we are having a proto-oncogenes, which is a part of oncogenes, means inactive oncogenes we call as proto-oncogenes, or precursor of oncogenes are proto-oncogenes. So these proto-oncogenes are normally a growth factor or growth factor receptor or certain other factors which normally increases cell growth. When this oncogenes is going to be more active or more in amount, that is going to lead to cancer. So either we will talk detail in the molecular mechanism. So either because of these environmental factor or the genetic factors, either this activation of the oncogenes or inactivation of tumor suppressor genes or DNA repair system will be defective, or alteration in the apoptosis regulating genes. So because of this one, normally cell will not have any kind of apoptosis. Cell will not go for death. Cell will be immortal. So cancer cells are immortal. Ultimately, these are the two important genes which normally going to lead to cancers. And these two damages are repaired by this one. In a normal cells, whenever this cells will be modified, mutated, or this gene will be mutated, these two types of mutations will be repaired by repair mechanism. So either this is not working, so any kind of a small mutations will not be repaired. So basically, three important genes which is going to be damaged. So either it will be proto-oncogenes, or it will be tumor suppressor genes, or it will be repair system. Now, the carcinogenic agents, if you'll see it, what we are having four different groups of carcinogenic agents. Means all the carcinogenic agents, either it will be physical, chemical, biological, or it will be anything, divided into four groups. So group number one, which is known, which is well defined for the carcinogenic to the humans. So there are sufficient evidence for agent that it causes cancer to the humans. Some of the examples are like solar irradiations, processed meat, alcohol, smoking, asbestos, talc. Second group is we are having 2A and 2B. 2A is it is probably carcinogenic to the human, and 2B is possibly carcinogenic to the human. So there is sufficient evidence the agent causes cancer to the human. Here limited evidence is there. So these are the different examples. And the third group, number three, that is the fourth group, is which is not classified as any carcinogenicity to the humans. So first group, that is well defined that it is carcinogenic. Group 2A, much evidence are there, they are carcinogenic. Group 2B, some limited evidence are there. Group 3, no evidence are there for the carcinogenic. So any carcinogenic agents going to fall in any of these four groups. So first group is we are having you can call it alkylating agent in the chemicals. Alkylating agents are normally going to group add the alkyl groups onto the DNA. So whenever DNA will be alkylated, so it normally going to modify our DNA, and when DNA will be modified, ultimately it is going to give you different type of components. So these are the different agents which works as alkylating agents, means it adds alkyl group to the DNA. So either it will be nitroso mustard, or you can call it mustard gas, uh, ethynylamines, alkyl sulfonates, nitrosourea, triazine, methyl hydrogens, and these are some of the example of these are the category, and these are the example of these groups. What it do? Normally, these alkylating agents, guanine is the most, possibly the most active nucleotides which is going to be alkylated, and that is also not other places. It is at the end seventh, nitrogen seventh place. Nitrogen is the most favored, most suitable place where alkylation occurs in the guanine. Whenever this guanine will be alkylated, it is going to do miscoding through the abnormal base pairing with thymine. So normal guanine is going to pair with cytosine, but whenever this guanine will be methylated, alkylated, it is going to pair with thymine. So here mispairing is going to happen, and ultimately this is going to affect the protein formations. This is also going to cause cross-linking of the DNA. As you can see here, guanine to guanine cross-linking is there. So this cross-linking also affect during the DNA for replication process. Second most chemicals, which is the most important chemicals which is going to cause cancers, are the aromatic hydrocarbons. Some of the important aromatic hydrocarbons are benzopyrenes, benzoanthracene, chrysines, denbenzenes, anthracines, pyrenes. So these all are cyclic hydrocarbons, and if you see it, it is having these all the structures are the planar structures. Planar structure means normally it is the two-dimensional structures. It is going to bind with the DNA and distort the DNA. If you see the chemicals composition of the cigarette smokes, I have already told you roughly 7,000 plus different chemicals are there in the cigarette smokes. These are well known. And out of these 7,000 chemicals, 70 plus chemicals are there with confirmed carcinogenic activity. And some of these chemicals which is confirmed carcinogenic present in the cigarette smokes. So that's why cigarette is on the first place in the carcinogenicity. Now come to the physical agents. There are a number of other chemicals also there which is going to cause cancers. Not only alkylating agents and the amines, uh, hydrocarbons. There are number of aromatic amines also, aromatic amides also, azodyes also, natural plant products also, microbial products, microbial toxins are also. These are also some of the chemicals which ultimately going to damage, going to affect the uh, DNA, and ultimately proteins will be affected. Physical agents, whenever we are talking about the physical agents, these are physically go and binds with the DNA. Like if a person will be prolonged exposed to the asbestos, uh, naturally occurring some of the mineral fibers, like which normally going to cause a disease in the lung, that is called a mesothelioma, that is the lung cancer. Uh, Species like fibers such as wollastonite, etapolitite, glass holes, rock holes, these are normally go and bind with the DNA and affect DNA replication process. Non-fabric particles materials also going to cause cancer, like metallic cobalt, nickel, silica, that is like quartz and other components also. Major physical agents is radiation. So we are having two types of radiation. Either it will be ionizing or it will be non-ionizing radiation. Radiations you can remember by gamma book R M I V U S I C. R means radio, M means micro, I means infrared, V means visible, U means ultraviolet, X means X-ray, Y means gamma, and C means cosmic. So this is the radiations which starts with here radio or extremely low frequency and ends with gamma and cosmic radiations. This side we are having very low frequency. You know that frequency is inversely proportional to the energy. So, so when this is having, sorry, frequency is directly proportional to the energy and wavelength. So this is having a wavelength, maximum wavelength, lowest energy. This side we are having highest wavelength, maximum energy. So increasing energy. So here we are having maximum energy. So when we are going to see this compounds, these radiations, the radiations which is having the highest energy, like this sides, they are ionizing. Normally going to give ions, and that ions is going to affect our DNA. So these ionizing radiations is having maximum energy. These radiations are having low energy. So in this side, radio is having highest wavelength and the lowest energy. Cosmic is having lowest wavelength, highest energy. So cosmic is more dangerous than the radio waves. And if you are going from here to here, their ionizing capacity increases and their uh, toxicity, damaging power also increases. Here we can see the sources, different sources from where we are going to get which type of radiation. Like extremely low frequency, we are going to get from electric power lines, AM radio waves, AM FM radios normally gives you radio waves. Microwave oven gives you microwave. Infrared gives you radiant heats like irons or some of other heats. There, ultraviolet, weldings, X-ray, medical X-ray, gamma rays from radioactive substances. So this visible especially is, you can call talk about it is the border. Anything which is all on the one side of the border, left side of the visible, they are non-ionizing, and anything which is of the right side of the visible, they are ionizing radiations, and ionizing radiations are more dangerous. These radiations, whenever we are having, these are going to give you two types of effect. Either it will have direct effect or it will have indirect effect. Direct effect means directly these radiations falls on our DNA and going to affect DNA. Either going to damage DNA, going to nick DNA, going to distort DNA. So that is directly radiations falls on DNA and affect it. Indirect effect is whenever these radiations not directly fall on the DNA, it falls on some other components, activate those components, give you free radicals formations, and those activated compound or free radicals walks on DNA and damage it. So indirectly radiations affect the DNA, that is called as indirect effect. So whenever DNA damage occurs, either this damage will be either single or strand break or double strand breaks, means we are having a DNA. So either only one strand nick will be there or both strands breaking will be there. Sometimes purines nucleotides will be removed, or sometimes pyrimidine nucleotide will be removed. If purine is going to be removed, it is going to call it apuric site, means purine nucleotide has been removed. So only sugar phosphate backbone will be there, no nucleotide will be there, nitrogenous base will not be there. If pyrimidine is going to be removed, it is called as apyrimidic site. Apyrimidic site. Both together we are going to call it a basic site, means no base pair is there. So a basic site is there. So either apuric or apyrimidic or ultimately a basic site will be formed. Cross linking of DNA will be strands will be there, or formation of pyrimidine dimer will be there. Pyrimidine normally in DNA we are having cytosine or thymine. So either we are having cytosine to cytosine, thymine to thymine, or cytosine to thymine. This is three types of dimer is going to fall. Among these three dimer formations, the most prevalent dimer formation is thymine dimer formations, T to T. Then second most prevalent is C to T, and third most prevalent, the last least prevalent is C to C prevalent. These dimer formation are different types. We will talk some other time when we will talk about the mutations, how this dimer formation is going to happen. So either they are going to form a Debar product or cyclic butane product, or only one without cyclic formation will be there. In these radiations, the most damaging radiations we are having UV radiations. This UV radiations, whenever it is most prevalent source of the UV radiations is sunlight. So when from sunlight is going to fall, they contains three different type of UV radiations. UV radiation A, B, C. Among this, C radiations is the having the maximum energy, and they are going to be more dangerous. But fortunately, C radiations UVC does not come to Earth, so we are not at all going to be affected by UVC radiations. B radiations, maximum B radiations is going to be stopped by ozone layer. Only minor B radiation comes to our Earth, and that is going to affect our skin cells and going to lead to the skin cancer and other cancers. A radiations, which is having the lowest energy, and they are normally non-damaging. So maximum A radiations falls, and they are non-damaging. And another carcinogenic agents comes from the diet or the exercise. Like we can see here, diet, physical inactivity means sedentary lifespans, and obesity are related to approximately 30 to 35% of the cancer death. In the case of USA, excessive body weight means obesity is associated with the development of many types of cancers, and roughly 14 to 20% of all the cancer deaths are caused because of excess body weight, that is obesity only. Whenever we are going to have physical inactivity means less sedentary lifespans and less physical activity, it affects body weight. And normally, I have told you, whenever body weight will increase, obesity will be there, cell responsiveness, cell signaling process is going to be affected. So negative effect on the immune system and endocrine system will be there. More than half of the effect from the diet is due to overnutrition rather than from eating few healthy foods. Diet that are very low in vegetable, fruits, and whole grains are high in processed and red meats are linked with number of cancers because they have more free radical generation power, more less antioxidants. Whenever a person is going to eat high salt diet, that is linked with gastric cancer. Aflatoxin, that is a toxin product from the fungus. Uh, so aflatoxin B1 is a frequent food contaminant which causes the liver cancers, and betel nut, that is normally in India or especially in the Bihar UP, we are going to eat too much betel nuts. They are going to cause oral cancers. These are different carcinogenic chemicals which ultimately going to cause a specific type of cancers. Like when we are talking about aromatic amines, there we are having azodie. This normally going to lead to bladder cancer, gastric. Nitroso compound going to lead to gastric cancers. Arsenic, asbestos, cadmium, coke oven fumes, chromium compounds, coal gasifications, nickel, foundry substance, radon, radioactive substance, soot, tar, oil, silica. These are normally going to cause lung cancers. Aluminium product, rubber industry, leather industry, 4-amino bisphenol, benzidine, bladder cancers. Formaldehyde, isopropyl alcohol, mustard gas cause nasal cavity and sinuses cancers. Asbestos, isopropyl alcohol, mustard gas also cause larynx cancers. Formaldehyde and mustard gas also cause pharynx cancer. Asbestos, there also we have seen asbestos here, called lung cancer, that is mesothelioma. Benzene, ethylene oxide, herbicides, X-ray radiations, lymphatic and hematopoietic cancers. Arsenic, coal tar, mineral oils, sunlight, skin cancer. Chlorophenol, herbicides, soft tissue sarcoma. Arsenic, vinyl chloride, liver cancer, and sunlight, lip cancer. Now comes to the biological agents, where we are going to talk about oncogenic virus. uh, all the oncogenic virus normally going to divide into two broad classes. It will be DNA or it will be RNA. Any virus which can cause cancer are called as oncovirus. So we have DNA oncovirus, we are having RNA oncovirus. The term originates from the studies of acutely transforming retrovirus. That is around 1950s and 1960s. If you'll see, in case of DNA virus, we are having three broad classes of DNA virus. That is Hops viridae, Papoviridae, and Hepadnaviridae. And basically, these are the major category of DNA virus. That is, in case of Hops viridae, which are human hops virus, HSV, or Kaposi sarcoma associated virus, which is because of opportunistic infection in case of HIV. Epstein-Barr virus, human papillomavirus, and hepatitis B virus. These are DNA virus. Whenever we are talking about RNA virus, there we are having two broad classes, that is flaviviridae and retroviridae. In case of flaviviridae, we are having hepatitis C virus, and retroviridae we are having HTLV, human T lymphocyte virus. Now, if we'll see both the virus, DNA virus and RNA virus going to affect differently, means mechanism of action of DNA virus and RNA virus are different. DNA virus normally forms the stable association with the host cell genome. It integrated virus is not able to complete replication cycle. So in case of DNA virus, they are going to form different type of specific proteins. Those are called as early phase protein, late phase proteins. Especially in case of DNA virus, we are having some of the specific early phase proteins produced by some of the virus. Like if you see the papilloma virus, they are going to produce number of early phase proteins we are going to designate it by E. So especially E6 and E7 normally going to cause cancers in case of papilloma virus. Similarly, in case of adenovirus, we are having some of the other proteins that like we are going to call it EIA and EIB. This is again early phase proteins. So these proteins are carcinogenic proteins. Uh, so different virus, DNA virus is going to give you different type of proteins. Ultimately, this DNA virus is going to be inserted into the host genomes and affects DNA replication process and other transcription mechanism. Whenever we are talking about RNA virus, most of the RNA virus which is going to cause cancers, they are retroviruses, means they are having reverse transcriptase as a genetic material. So all oncogenic RNA viruses are retroviruses. There are two broad classes of RNA virus, not these two classes, where we are going to talk about on the basis of its mechanism of action. One we are going to call it acute, and second one we are going to call it slow transforming. Acute transforming and slow transforming. Acute transforming cause rapid induction of the tumor in the animals. So acute transforming, these viruses have viral oncogenic genes. So they call viral oncogenes, VONCs. In case of acute, slower transforming virus takes some time. They do not contain VONCs, and replication competence and cause transforming of the means our host cells very slowly. Mechanism of transformation is by through insertion only here also. So they acute, the most important thing which you need to remember is in case of acute RNA virus, acute transforming RNA virus is having VONC, whereas slow transforming RNA virus they don't have VONC. But because all are retroviruses, so they are going to have reverse transcriptase. Other than virus, there are a number of bacteria also, which is also going to cause cancers like Salmonella typhi, gallbladder cancer, Streptococcus bovis, colorectal cancers, chlamydia pneumoniae, lung cancers, mycoplasma, different other types of cancers, Helicobacter pylori. Mainly, it is lymphatic cancer in the GI tract. Other than this virus, some of the genetic factors, especially hormones. There are three important hormones, body chemicals, which works as a fuel for the cancer growth. They are estrogens, progesterone, and HER2 genes. So in this case, if you see, hormones play a important role in the development of cancers. So hormones are important agents. Whenever whatever cancer is going to cause because of the hormonal effect, they are mainly secondary sexual character or sex organ related cancers. So either it will be breast cancer, endometrium cancers, prostate cancer, ovary cancer, testis cancers, or sometimes thyroid cancer or bone cancer. But most of the cases, hormone related, the hormone, whenever hormone is going to cause because of hormonal effect, that is sexual character, organ related cancers. Whenever some work has been done, when a daughter of a woman who already had a breast cancer, so a lady who had breast cancers, in the case of the daughter of that particular lady, we will have high level of estrogen and progesterone. This high level of estrogen and progesterones make that girl a more risk, means you can say susceptible for the any kind of cancers. So higher hormonal level may explain why these hormones have high risk of cancers. Even she don't have any genes affected genes. So because of higher hormonal levels, that girl will be more prevalent for the cancer occurrence. But because her mother had breast cancer, so from her genes, from mother, she has got a genes. Because of that genetic effect, she is having high level of estrogen and progesterone without affected genes, and because of this hormone, she is going to have more chances. Similarly, in case of men from the African ancestry have high level of testosterone than the men of European ancestry. Now, any man of Asian ancestry with the low level of testosterone activate androstenediol gluconorides have a lowest level of prostate cancer. Means here it is inversely proportional, high level of testosterone, low prostate cancer, low level of testosterone, high prostate cancer. So here testosterone is inversely proportional. In case of estrogen and progesterone, it is directly proportional for the breast cancers. So these are different type of oncogenic components, oncogenic etiological factors, which ultimately leads to cancers. So this is all about today. Next day we will talk about molecular mechanism of cancers, and we will talk about oncogenes and tumor suppressor genes. So thank you very much. If you are not subscribed my channel, please subscribe it. Have a nice day.